So good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to another scene for Edessa, the Dark Crusade, where we are setting scene in Omar's shop, I guess on the second floor.
The
Can
first
you
floor.
detail this for me, please?
Yes. In the bazaar, there is a certain merchant, member of Clan La Sombra, who has a shop that he has, well, repurposed, or, well, it has multiple purposes. Second, firstly, there is, of course, the shop in the main area, and then there is the first floor, which has tables and is quite private, made sure that Canaanites there can, hmm, you know, get together and talk and gossip. And this night, Mina is walking around, I'm assuming,
Mina
by
does
her
have a
normal.
habit of wandering the bazaar,
Mhm.
popping into random shops, investigating for lulls.
She will notice at some point, Madeline sticks out a little. Uh, well, for the fact that she looks very, very beautiful, but also she's dressed up. Well, you've seen her a couple of times. She seems a bit more dressed up than normal. Well, than the other times you've seen her, but then again, it's not like regal or anything. It's just she looks a bit different. Her getup is a little bit more. There's done a little bit more with her clothing. Um, you'll see that there are two men with her, at least. You actually also see that there is a woman. She's quite tall. Um, and the four of them, well, they are heading towards, well, they seem to be heading to an inn where the three others part ways from Madeline and head into an inn, while Madeline goes across the street and enters into a shop.
Thankfully, Mina is both the nosy and the curious type, so presumably dressed down significantly because she likes to be overlooked when she's running around the bazaar, unless she's looking to purchase something. Um, she'll just look kind of like any other lower class waif type situation. But she will scoop up Alonso and leave off training with him for the moment and will kind of curiously follow. Particularly as they part ways, she will give it a moment, kind of glance at the shop itself and what manner of shop it is, so that she has some idea what she's stepping into as she goes through the door.
It's probably filled with a lot of stuff. It's a bit more pricey than normal, but then again, it's not like a specialty shop like it's jewelry or anything specific. But there are some you'd think like carpets and clothing and stuff like that.
So she probably looks a little out of place and may get a bit of attention as she slips through the door, seeing as she's not like covered in shit peasant dressed, but she's definitely dressed down.
You will, as you enter, you will see Madeline standing. She's talking with one of the, well, lack of a better word, he doesn't look like your typical person who would work in a shop. He's just standing nearby a door and mm, she would just say, "Is Omar here tonight? I would extend my greetings to him." And you can make out it's not like a secret or anything. He just says, "No, no, my master's not. The boss is not here tonight." And and then she will just say, "Well, I will be heading upstairs and doing some reading, perhaps talking." I assume that is, yeah, of course, of course. And he just lets her in. Um, as she seems to be quite cordial with this guy. Like she smiles to him and thanks him. And you know what? We will do a thing where what dice roll are we in?
Ooh, let me quickly set one up. That doesn't look like it's in use. That one is ended, so I will go to 3 and a little thing there.
Yeah, Madeline will just look around and she will just spot you and just look at you and just say, "Ah, good evening. Do I have a secret admirer tonight?"
And of course, imagining that it's very possible that one of the attendants to the shop was en route to shoo her out because she has made a poor decision at the moment. Um, she will perk up significantly as Madeline notices her and playfully go into what's not even close to being an accurate like bow, just for funsies, just to make it clear. And as the smile grows, well, of course, always.
Hmm. Oh, I forget you are quite. And she looks around. New. And she turns to the guard. "Please, this is one of my associates. You will allow the both of us to come in, yes?" And he just nods. And Madeline will gesture you over.
And she will come right over, as pleasant as you please.
And you are, well, the two of us are let in through a door, and there's a stair going upward. And there's another door that leads into a quite large room. It's not like, I mean, it's also probably pretty big downstairs, but there's crap and, well, merchandise, sorry, everywhere. And so you can't really get a good idea of what, or just how large the room is. But this room is decked up with tables, chairs, and a somewhat welcoming atmosphere. And yeah, and Madeline will just say, "Oh, I should have, of course, told you the moment you arrived that this is one of the meeting places of our kind. We can speak here privately without the fear of anyone listening."
Ah, how nice.
It is. The place and the shop downstairs is owned by a very good friend, a member of my clan named Omar. You should present yourself to him as soon as you can. I do not believe that he is here tonight, but, well, it is only good manners to greet and thank the host for such lovely surroundings.
There will be an immediate, just compliant little nod. Of course.
So, you wonder? You are generally just curious, I suppose. It is good sometimes to be curious.
It keeps things interesting.
Quite so.
Have you, by chance seen Grandfather? Or the Horned Man? last night or
No,
so. Damn.
I have not.
He's not always easy to spot. I was hoping to go on a walk with him tonight.
I'm quite certain that there will be other opportunities for this.
While she affects a very much obvious, like, kind of teasing sort of pout. It's not sincere, but it's just like the but I wanted the little pout.
And Madeline will just say, "Oh, I did not mean." And the two of them are probably sitting at this point.
Oh yeah.
Madeline will just hug her. Just, oh, my child, it was. Hmm. And she's also a bit playful as she just rustles your hair a bit. It just says, hmm, I did not mean that. But if you are very, very polite and very, very good, I might find a present for you myself. I hope that will suffice.
She's almost immediately smiles again, especially as Madeline is a good enough sport to kind of play into it, which seems to just thrill her. And particularly the whole, I might get you a present myself. There's just the hand comes up over her mouth like gasp. Again, just kind of cranked up to needlessly silly. And she will probably still have Alonso tucked under her far arm. And just for the sake of Daryl, who I know hasn't seen him before, darn it! Hold on, let me switch to picture. What is my life? I forgot I replaced his picture. Okay. This, come on now. That is not Alonso. That is Alonso. So Alonso is probably not the happiest ever, but he is currently tucked under her arm where the most he can do is wiggle. And he's potentially making like a faint sound of protest every now and again, but he does not yap, he does not bark. He just kind of does the little doggy grumbles now and again, most likely, because
Oh,
Mina's probably the only one here who has an offensive to animals. So so he's like "Rah, rah," and pat pat. But there he be.
As the conversation goes on, you'll hear footsteps approaching from the stairs. And the door will open. And you'll see a young man strapped in leathers and armed with random knickknacks of metal and tools. And he'll see two women. One he has seen many times before, one he has not. And look over to the woman he knows and bows his head. Madeline?
Ah, Garland. It has been some time. Ah, may I introduce to you? Mina, fledgling of Clan Malkavia. Recently arrived to this fair city.
Garland will turn his head and definitely take a bit of interest of Mina and state, I've never met your family before.
And he will find that Mina is all smiles. Almost one might think unnervingly so if they were around her long enough, but she's just so pleasant. And she'll look at him with another one of those just two winning smiles. A lot of people say that, and that's a shame. I hope you like what you see.
Garland closes the door and somewhat rights himself. I would say that I would hopefully we'll get to have a pleasant relationship. And he presents his hand. Garland Cervantes of Clan Bourgeois.
And she'll go through a comical shuffle because her free hand is closest to Madeline, so she will potentially kind of pick up her feet and quickly like just do a little swivel around on the bench so that she can offer her free hand without transitioning Alonzo, but so close because we don't need the puppy wiggles. Um, but she'll kind of turn herself about to, I guess, where she's straddling the bench and offer a hand up. And sorry, what all was in the introduction? Because I'm still learning what's proper.
Garland just presented his name and clan. He did not state his rank though.
Okay. And yeah, she offers her hand. It's me, Neverella. Just a fledgling.
So, he nods to that, and he takes notice of the small whimpering small creature in your other hand, and he does a slight eyebrow raise, seeing it. Like you have a pet with you.
I do. We were training. And she reaches over and once her hand is released, we'll go to smooth and calm him a bit more because undoubtedly now there are two people in his close vicinity. He's got a mild case of the wiggles, but he'll soothe down, be lovingly shushed and quieted.
And he doesn't try to pet the dog, but he takes notice of it, and he'll state, I'm actually training some animals myself.
Really? What kind?
Some guard dogs.
Oh, does she perk up? Really?
They're quite feral, though, compared to the little one right there.
Oh, he's coming along nicely, but do tell. Would you like help?
He actually thinks on that for a moment. And then he states, if you're willing to, I can bring him about. I do have another person helping me, but he can be hard to contact with.
My brother's admittedly a better hand with horses, but I am enjoying working with dogs. I'm working on getting a proper kennel. But in the meantime, perhaps if you're interested, you could come to the stables, meet my brother. Though I wouldn't bring the dogs in. He doesn't like things spooking the horses. But I could come out to you.
We can discuss a meeting place at another time. I would like to continue this conversation, but I actually wish to ask Sister Madeline a few questions.
Oh, by all means.
I must say, Garland, if I did not know better, I would say that you are getting better at introductions.
Every day, another lesson.
Quite so.
And he kind of waves in a gesture to Madeline a little bit further from Mina, as in if he wants to get that slightly bit out of earshot. Madeline, what do you know about spirits?
Well, depending on what we are talking, I do believe that, well, that can be one of many things, as far as I understand. But are we talking the spirits of people who are no longer with us? Then I know some.
No, this one's very tangible and very real.
Perhaps if you tell me a little bit more.
And he kind of, despite the lack of needing to breathe, he lets out a sigh of a little bit of basically apprehension. There's something in town. It's, I don't know really what it is, but I saw it today and it made me see something and then it got away.
A
It tried to
horned
touch.
man dressed like a decrepit version of Father Christmas.
Like, does that exist yet? But I know what you're talking about. But
To be fair, Christmas was originally a pagan celebration that involved rioting, essentially. So, in theory, yes.
Well, okay, Madeline will describe the garb described actually by Mina, who is in the room, and is that what you speak of?
and he nods. I found it today. And I followed it, and I even spoke to it. It's not human, and it's really, really old. And it told me specifically, and he says it even in a husher tone, that I was a child of the first murderer.
Hmm. So it knows.
It seems to know a lot. It told me it was at least over a penta of centuries. Probably could be even older than that. It broke out of my trance as I was speaking to it.
Hmm. Let us hope that it did not take offense to your conversation.
It took offense of me interfering. Whatever this thing is, it seems to be some type of, I don't know, a vengeful spirit. I don't know much about it, but I've heard stories as a child. It's
Madeline will just point to Mina and just, I have not seen it, but our young friend here has seen it as well. It is where I got the description.
and Garland will turn around to Mina.
And Mina, meanwhile, since they have pointedly moved away to talk without her, is playing innocent, probably has Alonzo seated on her lap, and is quietly talking to him and rewarding him for sitting still, especially in a place like this where there are many, many distracting people who upset him.
Hmm.
So you've seen the old man.
She'll immediately perk up once the voice is pitched in a way that's not meant to be, not heard by her. She perks up and looks aside, and the grin spreads over her lips again. You mean grandfather?
If we're deciding to call it for that for now, yes.
No, no. Grandfather is another, and I believe that the
Oh,
two are connected, but it
the
is the
horned man.
horn. Yes.
Yes.
I think the horn man is grandfather. It spoke to me in a tone that wasn't human. And I saw its mask. It had some variation of illusion around itself. I believe they're one and the same.
I think you're right.
It seems to act as a balance. When it gave things to children and the old, the ones who took it gratefully, he seemed to have an aura of benevolence. The ones that were not as such, there was something very cold and very inhuman about it. And it didn't care for people interfering with its evaluation of people. At this point, I will say without a shadow of a doubt, it's stealing children and possibly stealing people as well. Whether
Hmm.
it's torturing them, eating them, or simply leaving them to starve, I do not know.
Oh, did you see the sack?
I didn't see inside the sack, but I did see the sack, yes. I don't know this thing is evil, but Dio only knows that whatever it's doing, it can be disruptive. I try to talk to it peacefully. That may have been my mistake.
Hmm. If you do not know what it is, going with hostile intentions would be stupider. Talking with it, giving information is probably the correct course of action.
It is vulnerable to our disciplines. I was able to transit, but it was a weak one.
A weak effect is better than no effect.
And so aware of our presence and our attentions on it, I expected to be more cautious. And I expected to respond either with evasion or hostility if it would see me again.
Hmm.
And he actually kind of stops. And if he wants to pee, he can. If not, he just kind of pauses for a moment and then states,
Oh, don't be an idiot.
it has abilities, physical and supernatural.
Would you say this was site-based by chance? Oh, I guess it doesn't make a difference. So 2 successes.
When he paused, it was a pause like he was remembering something, and there's definitely a mixture of, I guess, pain and regret. Like it did something to him, and remembering it made him pause.
And what does he say after that?
That it has supernatural abilities of the physical and spiritual kind.
She'll scooch a little closer. Retucking Alonzo.
You said that it made you see something. Was it an illusion or trick?
And in the silence, he actually looks like his lips are a bit quivering, and he kind of rights himself. It felt really real. I've never dealt with a Ravenos, so I wouldn't know the levels of how powerful an illusion is. But it was convincing.
May I ask whether his response is more one of sadness or fear?
It is more sadness.
Uh,
Might I ask as to what you saw?
I wouldn't prefer to discuss that.
Madeline looks at him for a moment. Hmm. It seems as though you have been given a quite valuable lesson. By the way, you are hesitant to speak of it. I would advise you to not stray away from it, but embrace whatever feelings, however uncomfortable they might be, embrace them.
He simply nods. I came here looking for Omar to see if he had maybe items to deal with the creature. He seems to be absent late. And seeing you with your boundless wisdom and experience, I hope you could guide me with your wisdom.
Hmm. Well, you did say that you did not want to interfere, well, to be interfered with by us. One would assume that it has a purpose that would be, well, since it has not been in Edessa for the last 100 years, one would assume that it will do this and at some point leave. No?
Possibly. It seems to be, as I stated before, a creature of vengeance. It says it brings forth the judgment of God to the wicked ones.
Hmm.
But it also seems to bring relief and solace to the ones that are worth its peaceable nature. I do believe that the gifts it gives to people are genuine and real in some facet. I only pray that they don't have the ability to bring ruin to those if he feels judgment is needed for them.
I hope so too, in the fact that I was given a gift by him.
I am planning if this creature only comes at night. If not, I will think of another way. I know there is at least one house that is most likely marked by his vengeance. I am going to investigate and overwatch its particular building.
Hmm. I would advise you to study, not interfere.
Nina
If you
perks up.
intend, if you intend to interfere, I would suggest at least talking with the sheriff before getting yourself into trouble.
Can I come watch?
Garland focuses on Mina. I This is a problem for Edessa, so any help would be appreciated. Yes.
Again, just that her already present grid just grows exponentially. Thank you.
But make sure the sheriff knows. I am his squire, and he deserves to know this. It affects Edessa.
And as you know, if you are there on official business and you have informed the sheriff if something goes wrong, well, you are less likely to be pointed out as a problem.
Yes. Yes, I would. And a bit of a slightly defeated tone.
Let's say that something does occur. What do you intend to do if my suggestions is not something that you would wish to follow and you do interfere? What do you intend to do?
I don't know. I know if I'm there and it does whatever it does, whether they be guilty or they be guiltless, it does something to somebody. I couldn't just sit there and watch. If the disciplines still work on the creature, I would try again to put it into entrance. Even and hopefully this one will be stronger. Even if he were to break it, he could only break it for so long. As long as I'm within his presence and it doesn't rip me apart, he'll eventually fall under my power.
Hmm. I'm sure it will be quite an enlightening conversation. Again, I would suggest that you keep your distance. And if it is indeed judgment that it brings, well, given the fact that we know next to nothing of it, and you have seemingly shown that it can break of the influence you might have, if it begins to fight you, well, you have no idea what it might be capable of in a more direct way towards you.
First, first rule of dealing with any combat situation: don't let them touch you.
As good advice as any, I suppose.
And Garland will look over to Mina. I wouldn't want you to fight such a creature.
Hmm.
I have stared the Horned Man in the face. I am interested in seeing what he does.
I would prefer if I could, as I did today, was speak if it could explain itself to it. If it's a creature of vengeance, and if it really truly, if it just wishes to bring out retribution to the ones that are wicked, we could use it for Edessa's endeavors.
You said he spoke to you as the Horned Man.
He spoke to me as grandfather, but his face as the Horned Man.
Her head slowly tilts.
And he did speak to me as the Horned Man, not physically, but vocally.
Oh. This sounds exciting.
And it led me to an area that now that I think back upon the place, I believe it was a diversion.
You believe it was the what?
He said he was led to an area, but when he thinks about that place again, it probably was a diversion. What I know for sure is the creature can make you see something very, very real. And so that will be a problem. I don't know any disciplines that allow you to resist effects of that nature.
Again, all the more reason for the two of you to watch and to not interfere.
I wouldn't dream of it. I had only thought to walk with grandfather. I want to watch the Horned Man.
Well, since I am here and I haven't had the chance to use that particular gear, but I could use some new ones. Chains may be in order. Just in case.
Chains?
It's stronger than rope.
Can you chain a spirit?
I am willing to try if that's when it comes.
Shia, with Alonso again propped on her lap, probably pressed against her chest because she is the safest thing in the room, kind of claps slightly. I feel like this will be very educational.
You are a delightful young person, Mina. I truly appreciate having met you.
Oh, Madeline gets again that smile that's just fit to split her face. She seems to very much enjoy the praise.
I consider myself somewhat of a teacher, if you are able or willing. I do not know if your brother has taught you how to read and write.
I do it a little slowly, but yes.
I would love to teach you, but, well, if you are already familiar with it, I'm sure that if your brother allows, of course, I would be able to teach you much, if you would wish it.
And she'll just ever so sweetly, as she is scooched back over to be beside Madeline again, will just so sweetly just kind of lay her head on her shoulder. I can't see the harm in learning.
That is a good answer.
Especially when teaching is given freely.
Garland does his best to turn, but if we're to look on his face, there is a slight grimace.
you want me to P&E for it, or
That is up to you.
I will do it just to make sure I'm fair. Though I will call that site-based. Oh God, yes. How? What kind of grimace is this? Give me some details. That's 6 successes.
I
She
know
catches the
for a
shit
fact.
out of that.
I'm quite sure that Galen is somewhat uncomfortable for more than one reason.
It's especially when you said, where's the harm in that? He is responding to that particular turn of phrase.
Aww.
Because it is evident on his reaction with Mal's teaching, there is possibly a sense of harm to it.
Scandalous. She buckles down her grin a bit, but oh boy. Especially since he's turning away, he may not see it, but ooh, she loves it. Look at that grimace. Yeah. She'll catch it, and her grin just stays ever so wide. I think I would be very grateful for the teaching.
I hope you will. And I hope you will be open to what I teach.
Of course. You can't learn with a closed mind.
Madeline has been smiling, measured for the most part. And when you've seen her, she's been open, and she's never seen like
She's still got composure, as it were.
she's still got composure. A little of that drops now, as she just smiles to Mina, and there is something in her eyes that lights up a little bit as you say that, and she just says,
For the
"I'm
sake
looking
of
forward to this."
for the sake of argument, because she's seen a fucking dangerous glint in Garnet's eyes so many times in her life. Is this a potentially like, oh, now I'm interested? This just got fun. Like, is this a dangerous glint?
Uh,
Or
that
is it just, I
well,
mean,
that
it's up to
depends.
you.
That depends. Like, the she seems a little bit more passionate. It's definitely passionate, that look you get.
Oh boy. Yeah,
It's
she echoes the glint then. It's
it's passionate, but then again, like, what does that mean? I don't know.
still, it's probably comparable enough to earn a return just a little, just a touch more liveliness, because Mina loves it when things get exciting. Oh boy. So energetic.
I try my best.
This'll be fun.
Scarlet will look over to Madeline and state, "Would I don't know the family of the Cappadocians, but would they be willing to help? I feel like they would have hopefully skills to deal with this more effectively."
Hmm. Honestly, it depends. As I said, I could tell you some, but if it is not originated from a departed soul who is still lingering, well, if that is the case, well, then the Cappadocians might be able to help. But if it is something different, something not human in origin, I'm sure the Cappadocians might know certain things, but hmm, I would think, well, if you dare, perhaps the usurpers might have an interesting input. They know quite a few things as well. And if the rumors are correct, they are also a little bit more diverse in their knowledge.
Garland you he grimaces hearing about the usurpers. I would rather not give them anything that unless it's absolutely necessary. It's
Like I
not.
said, if you dare, I would exhaust other options before going to them myself, but I am somewhat doubting that Cappadocians would assist in this matter. Well, would be able to assist, more like.
And at this point, Garland kind of turns around and he's visibly tapping on one of his legs, kind of just thinking. I will do my best in rectifying this in the cleanest way possible. I thank you for your counsel. And Mina, I'll make sure to contact you. Uh,
Oh, yes, please do.
Garland then begins walking to the door and opens and turns around. Good evening, ladies.
Good evening, Garland.
Mina settles for the little finger waggle. Like that obnoxious little bring your hand up right next to your face and be like, wiggle, wiggle.
Hmm.
Sorry about that.
And he nods with the final words and actions and begins ascending the stairs.
Hmm.
And yeah, Mina just kind of glances after him. And once his footsteps depart, we'll turn a glance back to Madeline. Does he
Well,
think you're scary?
hmm. Well, him and I had. I attempted to teach him certain things, and I asked him of something in return, and he was unwilling to do it. But then again, well, I did not force anything on him. I would never would. I asked something of him, and he refused. Therefore, he was not willing to learn. So if he was not willing to learn, I would not teach him.
And there's a little pout of a frown. It sounds like he's no fun at all.
If you ask me, he has still quite a few things to learn. Being fun is probably one of them.
And she'll affect a mild pout, but begin gathering up Alonzo. Should get back to training, if you don't mind.
Oh, no, 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 please. I did drag you in here. I would only think it would be a matter of time before you were to go elsewhere. Please, do not let me keep you.
Oh, I didn't protest too much. There's another playful smile. I look forward to seeing you again and seeing what you want to teach.
Oh, I am looking forward to it. And as you probably are beginning to get up to leave, you will see a person entering, which is the woman of the bunch that you saw before.
Mhm.
Um, just come up to Madeline and just uh, she just seems to bow to you a little bit awkwardly, or like not like rehearsed and studied for like all the grace that Madeline can curtsy with. It's just like a fairly stiff bow. And yeah, do you want just You know what?
Gimme, gimme, gimme.
Do a perception alertness roll.
Is it type-based?
That's a good question. Yes, yeah, it is. Yes.
Yes. Only 2, though.
Like, you notice that um that this woman, she's quite tall. You could see that before, but like she seems lanky. Um and she's the clothes she's wearing is quite loose fitting, so it's not very tight. It's fairly loose. She doesn't seem like fat in that sense, but like she's probably built like just essentially like I don't know the out of character the character or the actress that plays Brienne of Tarth.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like that, kind of like just
Sturdy.
sturdy in a sense, but not like that. But also, you'll notice that just around, like on her face, and just like where you can see skin, that she does seem to have quite a few scars.
I will probably ask for any more information and messages because I really need to answer the phone. It sounds like it's an emergency. So,
Okay, good. Thank you very much for playing, watching. Goodbye.